Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to the place to be on a Monday night, where we are live and exclusive on Top Split TV for the ongoing coverage of the now Sunday Night Lights. I'm your host, Alex McKellar, and joining me for the first time this season is Mr. Tim Gorkrocher. Tim, massive night of racing here ahead of us tonight here at Sebring.
Me back again. It's a funky little track, this place, and danger central, because it's really bumpy. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the drivers get up to, because the first few laps are just so dangerous. But yeah, mate, great to be back, and we'll say I'm a tiny bit disappointed to not be out there with the guys, but looks like AJ's on track, so we wish him the very best of luck and hope he does really well. But yeah, good to be back, and I'm pumped, mate. A good night of racing.
Yeah, very good, very good. Yeah, I was just trying to bring up the quality standings, and once again I've stuffed up in the overlays 2 weeks running as I just grab Mr. Alex J. John, the good doctor himself, on camera. Now folks, I will apologise, the camera packs on this track are disgraceful, so we will be spending a lot of time in the Top Split TV chopper tonight, getting some pictures, and also in the chase view, which looks a little like this as we ride on board with Top Split Racing Team's own Alex John as he sets out on what would be the first of his two, or completes the first of his two qualification laps here tonight. Tim?
Yeah, he's good to see him back on track. Obviously last season he spent so much time in the booth that he barely had time to cut a lap, but AJ is a pretty talented young man, good behind the wheel, and I look forward to seeing what sort of time he can lay down, and hopefully throw down the gauntlet to some of these 4 and 5k drivers.
Absolutely. Well, unless he 1x'd or got an incident point on his first lap, this must actually be his first lap now, as he has yet to set a time. But who has set a time is Sacha Gourlay, who is joining us from France once again this evening. He did pretty well in the race last week. He's the number one plated car here tonight, and is setting the pace early, hoping for a bit better result than he had last week, Tim.
Yeah, the truth be told, Alex, I actually didn't catch the stream last week, as I was in Melbourne for the Formula One, which was a reasonable spectacle, and I do apologise.
I'll let you off this time, mate, just this once.
I do realise my priorities are wrong. I won't go to the Formula One ever again, now that we moved to a Sunday night. But yes, Sasha's a good driver, really, really good. He didn't give me a bath in the race prior to this one, but he did beat me, and he was putting down really good, consistent laps. So to see him on top early in the piece is not at all surprising. In fact, second lap down, hard to get into the 12s here on your second lap, but Sasha's done it in tremendous fashion. A 1 minute 12.929 that is a very, very fast lap. So good on him, and he's on top of the pile at this very point in time.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, pleasing to see Mr. Enzo Cantor has joined us once again, and I apparently have missed his team name. Of course, he does drive for Team Movano, Thrustmaster Team Movano here, and missing off the overlay once again. Small oversight. Tell you what, someone should speak to the guy who does those things. But Enzo, multiple series champion, of course, our returning season champion from last season of the final and ultimate season of Monday Night Lights, joining us once again. Although he's car number 3 here tonight, third rated driver, but he is also yet to set a time. Or is he in? No, he's in P14, 1.3 seconds off the pace. I'd like to think that Enzo can bump himself up the order as he approaches the hairpin on what would be the second of his 2 laps. Tim?
Yeah, it's really easy to muff your first lap because it takes so long for the tyres to come good, and it's really not until you're halfway through your second lap out there, your final lap of quali, before the car starts feeling reasonable, like you've got a bit of a base under you and it starts turning where you want it. So I'm sure Enzo got caught up, but keen to see what he can lay down this time around. It doesn't look like he's put down a better lap time. He had a 1x, hasn't recorded a better lap time. That is going to be tough for Enzo Cantor starting at this stage down in P16.
Yeah, unlucky for Enzo that time round. Did look like he picked up an incident point. Anyone still out on track? Anderson from UK&I. Toy Carla.
Look at that.
Sammy J jumps to the top of the pops with a 1:12.5. Very tough to beat around here. Lee Anderson, who we were on board with, he is approaching. Let me just see. It's so hard with this camera angle. Oh, he's just on the start of his lap, so he might be on the final stages of his qualification run, second lap perhaps. Although with a 1:13, no, he's done his two. He's got a 13.5 and a 13.3 in the books. So this will be cool down for Mr. Anderson all the way over from UK&I, Tim.
It's just looking at Sammy's lap, really interested to see how someone, like I've done a few sessions this week here at Sebring, and to do that sort of time in quali is ridiculous. But looking at his first lap, a 1:38.2, let's say he's gone out and done 2 warm-up laps, weaving, working those tyres as hard as he can before he opened up the afterburners and really set the joint on fire. Because that 1:12.5, 4 tenths up on the next fastest guy, which is Sasha. Unheard of. I mean, that's just so much on a track that is so small. A minute lap time is tiny. So, yeah, Sammy, he's doing something right. Just an amazing lap, that one.
Yeah, absolutely was. As the clock ticks down towards the end of the qualification run here, representing again in the top split tonight and in the top split racing team for this season of Sunday Night Lights, the Golden Stig himself, part-time commentator, part-time Skippy driver extraordinaire. He has come in as the number 17 plated car here tonight, snucky enough to missing out last week, and he's down in 18th position as the clock ticks down for the tail end of qualification. Great to see Tim Awema back in the top split as he lets it all hang out for that final section of the track. All right, let's see if we can't get the grid sorted this week. Of course, we are here for round 2 at Sebring International Race. We're at the club layout, very unique layout, a lot of fun to in these cars. P1 tonight, car number 20 just sneaking in. Sammy J, Toy Carla from Finland with a 1:12.5, fantastic time. Nearly 4 tenths ahead of Sacha Gourlay from France here, who's done a fantastic, just to get into the 1:12s here in quali is a pretty good effort, I have to say. P3, Sebastian Schultz joining us once again after a great result last week with a 1:12.9. Again, that 4 tenths behind our pole sitter. Team of Ascalampi, clubmate and good mate indeed of Sammy J, sitting in P4 with a 1:13.1. Håkon Grebstad in P5. First up winner in the Sunday Night Lights last week. Let's see how he goes from a much better quality position here tonight in P5. P6, Michael Gerlock, first of the ANZ drivers. Great result for him. P2 went to Team Milo's own Russell Clark in P7 tonight. Good starting position for him. Lee Anderson, we hopped on board with him earlier from UK&I in P8. Yusuta Shirawa from Japan, I think, the Asian club there in P9. Luke Whitten, another one. He's hopped on board the Team Milo bandwagon in P10. Anthony Catt from UK&I in P11. P12, the top split's own Alex J. John, the good doctor, starting in P12 tonight. And in the points, P13, Cristobal Otero Roman from Across Simart Competition. I think that's how I pronounce it. Sorry, Cristobal. Fantastic to see him back, one of our Iberian regulars. Ben Snell from Team Milo, a bit off the pace for his standards, but look to see him move through the field. Jacek Majecki, apologies if I've pronounced that incorrectly. P15, Mitchell McLeod from Talk Inc. He's in P16. Enzo Cantor, not able to improve on that initial time, all the way down in P17. Tim Awema, P18. 19, Samuel Collins. Aitor Lejara, in P20, as I think they've already got underway. Let's hop on board the chopper. Sorry, folks. Big grid to get through, but we're underway now, Tim.
We are. Sammy Toykata off really cleanly. Sasha putting plenty of pressure on early in the piece. Good news is, a bit of contact at the back. That's a Milo entry. Not exactly sure who it is, but it hasn't gone well for Ben Snell and Cristobal Otero Raman. Really unfortunate. Those two miles back with damage on board both cars. But otherwise looking relatively clean. A slow procession at this stage. Another Milo goes around. Not sure who wound up taking going to say that's Russell Clark. No, it's not. It's got to be Luke Whitten.
No, you're right.
No,
The
it
first
is Russell
time.
Clark.
Yeah, Russell Clark.
Unfortunate. Tough gig for Russell. Milo not looking great at the moment. Not sure who it was who collected him. And also, I think JSEC was disadvantaged pretty heavily through that contact as well. Not involved specifically, but certainly slowed up and is a reasonable distance back. So more contact than we'd like to see at the start. And I dare say, Alex, a few cars coming in for the fast repair.
Yeah, Russell unsettled himself through the rabbit there, early stages of the lap, and then as he checked up, was collected from behind. So not much that the trailing driver could do there to avoid it. But meanwhile, if we jump back up the front on the top split TV chopper, here Sasha Gorlais tucked in right behind Sammy J. Toykala. There was Schultz sitting in behind there in P3. They've got a 1.1 second gap over team of Escalampy and Håkon Grebstad, leading a pack of 3 with Skurlock in behind the leading Australian in ANZ club member in P6 as the guys up the front look to stamp their authority on this race, Tim.
Yeah, they do. I'm just sitting back on board with Enzo Cantor. He's deep in a pack behind Lee Anderson, Anthony Catt, Mitch McLeod, of course, and looking to make a move, send it up the inside. I'm not sure what he's going to do, but he's up 5 places already. Looking pretty good, pretty racy, but it's a dangerous looking pack as they run 3 wide into the hairpin. Almost pretty confident there's going to be contact. There is, I think, a bit of net code with Mitch and Enzo, and there's a spinner back there as well, which is Anthony Catt. Really unfortunate to have Anthony lose the rear end, which we know in the new time, Alex, is so easy to do. But a tough gig for him is another one who's fallen victim to the slippery skippy.
Exactly. There's a big 5-car battle going on. Enzo Cantor, he's got Yasuda Shiraiwa now all up the outside of Cantor, who's forced to go the inside tower, defending now into the rabbit as he breaks very deeply. Will that compromise his exit? No, it's very bumpy through the rabbit there, that tight right hander, as they go 2 wide in front of him with Anderson and McLeod. Cantor trying to take a late apex, but missing it by a fair margin there as he tries to stay in amongst this 5-car pack, Tim.
Yeah, really challenging for him though, because these guys, everyone wants to have that lead position, drag the bunch along, but I've got to say, I think between Mitch and Lee, there's no way Enzo's getting past in the next couple of laps, that's for sure.
Oh, he goes up the inside at the hairpin there. He's sitting right on the tail of Lee Anderson now. Anderson now defending for all that he's worth, and in front McLeod looking to run away with it if he can on the run down into it's turn 3 here, but it's Cunningham as they try to go 3 wide now as Aitor in the back. Oh, and running wide is was Anderson. Yeah, and he's come back right on nearing the exit where you really want to be tracking out on the line there. He's the drivers behind have done well to avoid him, but that's really ended his competitive night. Checking back up front now, we've got...
Speaking of spinners, Tim Awima goes round. Gets collected by Sam Collins. There goes half the Australian field, unfortunately. Sorry to interrupt, Alex. But it was too good to not tell the world that Tim Awima, top split extraordinaire, had a half spin, and unfortunately had Sam Collins come through and take him out. Tim's got plenty of damage on board, and I'm going to say he's going to come in and use that trusty fast repair.
Yeah, he did indeed lose at the rear at Tower, and then was collected by the trailing traffic in Samuel Collins. As we jump back now, we're right on board with Grebstad, who's tucked right in behind Vascalampi. These guys fighting for 4th and 5th positions on the run down into turn 2. Cunningham, it's actually turn 3. This track, I'll tell you what, it's a great configuration, but it's a commentator's nightmare. It's trying to figure out where you are on the track with these terrible camera views, and then as they come down now through Tower, lovely right-hand kink there. This is a very challenging corner here through the rabbit. There, Tim, as Håkon avoids the apex, for want of a better term, because it's pretty bumpy in there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's ludicrously bumpy. But it's surprising. I think you get your braking done early, slow the car down, and get on the power sooner. Is a safer way to go through there than not have the power applied at all. And I certainly learnt my lessons through that right-hander earlier in the week. And Hawkon's pretty experienced. I'm sure he'll, might be skaty through there from time to time, but I'm pretty confident that he knows his way through that right-hander and won't have too many issues. So just interestingly, Alex had another spinner from Team Milo, Luke Whitten, last time round. Lost it at that very right-hander we're talking about. So unfortunate for Luke, unfortunate for Team Milo, very, very poor point scoring for them tonight, as everyone involved has spun at some point during the race.
Yeah, absolutely. That is not how the team briefing would have played out, no doubt. But the guys are obviously trying to make of it what they can from here on out. Speaking of making what they can of it, Sammy J, Toikala, he has been overtaken by Gourlay. I think that's what we were catching before when the Golden Stig spun out. But Gourlay now, he will be tough man to pass. Sammy J, though, he's all over the back of him, and we know he's got pace to burn, Tim.
Yeah, he does. We know he's crazy, crazy fast. And truth be told, in my experience, Sammy's the kind of guy who's just going to sit back and, lure Sacha into a false sense of security, and then when the time comes, blow the top off him and destroy him. So we'll see what happens. I'm pretty confident I'm right, knowing Sammy. I've raced against a fair amount in the past year or two, and don't let that, what is it, 29.56 R rating fool you. We know Sammy's a very well-versed skip barber driver, and well and truly should be in the 6K range. He's that quick everywhere. So yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. Lap 7, we've got plenty to go. But yeah, Sammy T, don't let him fool you. He is very, very fast, very confident skip barber driver.
Yeah, absolutely. Wearing the 20 car plate here tonight due to the I rating, but that, as you say, is not representative of his pace in any way, shape or form. And Gourlay has certainly got a battle on his hand with Toikala sitting in his rear view mirror. Interesting there through Tower. Both seem to take the apex curbing there, which is a couple of braver men than I for the most part. There's curbs around here. There's a couple of corners where you can ride them, but for the most part, you're avoiding them at all costs, Tim.
Yeah, you are. And it's particularly like the tyres have just come good and you're just starting to feel confident in the car beneath you, So I think if there's any time to hit a curb, it's now, but certainly not in the prior 7 laps. You'd be crazy to. But still, I think the fast way around here is just to run that wheel right up to the apex, but not to hit the curb. It seems to wash off in my experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a bit of speed on the front end of this car, pretty low to the floor, so can easily pick up a bit of wing damage as well.
That's right, and now we have the properly labelled on board with Mr. Enzo Cantor, the Thrustmaster Mirvano racing driver, who is tucked in behind Legiaraga. Sorry, Aitor, mate. Terrible pronunciation of your name. I'll do better next time, I promise. McLeod sitting in front of him with Shirawa sitting ahead of them. This battle pack of 4 sticking quite closely together. Not sure how much time Candace spent around here, but he's in P11. He gets some Sunday Night Lights points as McLeod grabs the curbing there. Aitor dodges it, but Aitor has paid the price there. Let's go and grab a replay of what happened there. He actually missed, or he did actually look like he grabbed the previous apex curbing, but coming through Rabbit this time, he's sort of missed it. I don't know if he's carried too much speed. Yeah, that he's run wide, hopped it on the grass, copped a bit of a bump or two for his trouble, and as the car gripped up, and he's grabbed a great leap of faith over some of the subsidiary curbing there and put him out of that pretty solid fight that was going on there, Tim.
Yeah, really unlucky, but those are the brakes. I think there's quite a high exit curb on that right-hander. So on the left-hand side of the track, you can run the car right up to it. And obviously he's missed the apex by a good metre. And I think he was probably hoping he can rely on running up against that and getting the car to track quite nicely on the exit of the corner, but he's driven straight over the top of it, missed it completely. And there's a hidden bump, the one that caught out, or taller than normal grass, I think is what Daniel Ricciardo hit last weekend. And ripped the front wing off, and pretty well the same thing happened here, So Ada will be back in the pits, unlucky for him. And I think next week, Alex, hopefully we see him in the top split again. but we should reach out to him and request some pronunciation for that surname of his.
There should be a commentator's guide for some of these names, I tell you. Riding on board with Michael Skurlock now from ANZ, who, as some of our audience have pointed out, fantastic to see him hanging on to the back of our round one winner in Hawken Grebstad with Vascalampi just sitting in front of them. So great to see what is the leading ANZ driver in Skurlock. Car plate number 13 here tonight, managing to, he's chasing after a top 5 finish, Tim.
Yeah, he's had a lot of racing this week. I got to say, I think he's probably had officials than anyone else. So obviously, probably not working at the moment and really enjoys the place. But he's been doing really well. A lot of wins under his belt, and to be hanging about with Hawkon and Timu, both very quick skip drivers, is a terrific effort. But keen to see what happens with Mike, because it'd be tough to get past those two guys. I thought Timu would have slightly better pace than what he does. And be well and truly in the 12s and putting a bit of pressure on Seb Skultz for the final position of the podium. Seb last time around a 12.8, Timu last time around a 13.2, with similar fastest lap times. But yeah, that group, I don't see them going forward anytime soon, unfortunately, as we've reached the halfway point in the race.
10 down, 10 to go, as they say. And yes, Vascalampi, who we're riding on board with, looking at the hard charging Grebstad and Skurlock behind him. Look, they are 2.6 seconds behind Schultz, who is sitting in the final of the podium positions as we jump up to him now, running on his own. Jumping through the field a little bit, we've got Alex St. John, the doctor himself, representing Top Split Racing Team. He's in P7 here tonight. Good points in there for him. Bit of I rating at the same time. Shiraiwa, he's sitting on front of that pack that we saw with Cantor and Mitchell McLeod now, having dropped a little bit off the base there. He's about 1.2 seconds behind that pair now, as Cantor putting pressure all over the back of Shiraiwa. Witten now leading Team Milo driver. He's got a Milo train behind him. Well, he has Snell, at least, who's sitting in P12, and Cat, who is recovering from his earlier misadventures down in P13. Anderson from from UK&I in P14. Roman Cristobal Otero, he's not made the return to Sunday Night Lights that he was certainly hoping for, all the way down in P15. Just behind him, the final Team Milo driver in Russell Clark is not again where he would have hoped to have been. Jacek Majecki, he's in P17. Samuel Collins, after that earlier incident, caught up with the Golden Stig in P18. 19, the Golden Stig himself, sitting all the way down the order. Well, not where he was certainly hoping for before he started tonight. Tim?
Yeah, I don't think... don't know how many officials Tim did or how much practice he had. I saw him in the previous race. He had quite good pace, but obviously that half spin wasn't. The race hasn't quite gone to plan, I guess you could say. But good to see him on track, of course, and back in the top split. But P19 is not really where he belongs, in my opinion. He's certainly a better driver than what that position reflects. But Sasha and Sammy setting the track on fire, mid-12 lap times, really, really quick. Sasha, though, I think this time round had a slightly better lap than Sammy, so I'm going to, hopefully Sammy hasn't made me put in my mouth, having made a mistake by the look of things that time. I'm going to say the gap is 1.3, 1.4 seconds visually, but and Sammy a 13.0, so at some point across the last lap, a bit of a mistake. Sasha pedaled to the metal, a 12.1, very, very quick time. Going to see what Sammy can do to bridge that gap, because it is going to be tough now, out of draft range. Not easy to, you can't just sit back and it all sort of happens for you. Your braking markers are decided and you've got the draft of the car in front, which we know, Alex, is probably worth 5 or 6 tenths around here. So, yeah, I'm keen to see what the next 7 laps of what they've got in store, because Sammy's got a lot of work to do.
Sorry, I was muted there, folks. I have got a bit of a cold, in case you haven't noticed. I might have been clearing my throat off mic. So, as you were saying, Tim, I was on board with Sammy briefly while he went through this corner here at the hairpin last lap and had a bit of a diabolical run. And look, must have been the tail end of it. What was a bad lap, because he was full 9/10 behind, and he's not gaining. He's back going backwards. He is that 1.4 seconds, as you mentioned, behind Gourlay and not making much of an impression that lap. In fact, he was a tenth further back indeed. Jumping back to Skurlock and this battle he's having with Grebstad and Vascalampi, they seem to be keeping things in check pretty well as they try to grab the final spots in the top 5. Skurlock doing well to hang on to these two, perhaps biding his time with the balance of 7 laps remaining as they head down to the Rabbit on the early stages or mid stages of lap 14 or 20 here tonight. Skurlock doing a fantastic job and in amongst it with some of the big guns in Skip Barber Racing Team.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing really well. And Timu, though, he's racking up the off tracks that I can see. The car's pretty clean, but he's certainly using every last little bit of the track to try and get a bit of an advantage over Hawkon, who's looking pretty racy. I'm surprised he hasn't tried to put a move on him, because we are running out of time, and we do know, I've certainly seen, it's just so easy to, run a tyre wide, pick up the off track, get a bit of extra wheel spin, get sideways, and lose a bit of time to the car in front. So keen to see what the next few laps holds for Hawkon. I got to say, I think it's probably now's the time. I think is the right choice of words to put the move on Timu.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just noticed Weimer is he might have left actually. He was in the pits and he seems to have ejected stage right from the server, but it's unfortunate for the Golden Stig. We've got riding on board as we look out the rear of Vascalampi's car now. You can see Grebstad all over at every bit of the track and more as they head down to Rabbit once again. Tight left, right-hander I should say there. I'm looking backwards so I'm getting confused. That's nothing new there, folks, as we see these two put on a great show, and all the while Skurlock sitting in behind. He's just biding his time and seeing what he can make of it.
Hey, just noticing, Alex, Enzo Cantor. Where's he gone? Disappeared off the map altogether. I'm going to say, pretty confident he's had a bit of a run-in together with the Japanese driver, Yasutu Shiawa, who they were sitting in 8th and 9th, had made up a lot of ground. I'm going to say Enzo had probably made up 8 or 9 positions, but I think he's speared. Yes, he has. He's driven into the back of Yasuda on lap 12. And then was taken out by McLeod as those two checked each other up. So unfortunate for Enzo, the mistake all his by the look of things, as he's back in the pits, now on track again, but down in 18th position.
Yeah, all the way down in 18th, as you say. He's coming from a long way back on the 18th car, loses the rear of it. Oh, I tell you what, I reckon he will. Yeah, look, the car's all over the shop now. He's got rear suspension damage as Collins really... could do nothing there as Enzo hits the eject seat from that little adventure. Not one that he'll look to remember. As we jump back up front, got Toy Carla now. He's now full 2.2 seconds behind our leader in Sasha Gourlay as the top split TV chopper grabs the somewhat shaky vision. I don't have the Steadicam up there tonight, but Gourlay now running away with this. He's a full 2.2, nearly 2.3 seconds ahead of Toy Carla, who's sitting in P2 now. The battle really, after we see Schultz, who's a further 5 seconds behind Toy Carla, is really in that battle pack of 3 with Skurlock, Grebstad and Vascalampi there, Tim. The guys really putting on a show there as the rest of the field's really spread out. Although if I jump back down to Shiraiwa, that you were talking about having that incident previously with Cantor, he's got a bit of a battle on his hand now. If we hop on board with Snell, representing Team Milo, of course, he's fighting his way back. He's back into the Sunday Night Lights point scoring positions in P12, but he's actually up 2 spots from where he qualified. Oh, he's into the rear. He's into the rear. I can't believe it. I've put the commentator's curse on him. Let's go grab a replay of what happened there.
I don't even think it's worth watching, Alex.
It looked pretty
Ben will be
clumsy.
it was extremely clumsy, and Ben will be kicking himself. He's had a tough week and one. It certainly, I'm going to say, as much as Imola isn't a love track in the Skip Barber for the high curbs, I'm sure Ben's dying to get there because he has had a rough time at Sebring. And unfortunate for Yasuta, really unfortunate. He could have limped around in 11th or might have been 10th then, but he's going to get swallowed up by the angry pack behind him, which includes Christopher Lee Anderson. Ben probably is going to get him again, and of course Jacek Majeski, who is in P15.
Yeah, that's right. We're on. We might grab the rear view from Vascalampi now, I should say, with the 7 car of Grebstad right up his tailpipe here as they approach through that section where we saw Snell make that unfortunate move there as they climb all over the curbs at Rabbit. That's very hard racing through there. Coming now into the left-hander on the approach to the back straight. You can see Grebstad putting all sorts of pressure all over the back of Vascalampi. Now Skurlock still happy to bide his time. There's a lot of points in there for him here tonight in this big race once again, as we now see Vascalampi take a defensive line. So we might hop into the chase cam now. Grebstad forced to the outside line. What can he do now? It's as Vascalampi takes some dirt on the exit of the hairpin in his defence of P4, Tim.
Yeah, it's quite exciting. I'm glad to see Hawkon making the move now. He just can't afford to wait. Of course, there's 2 laps to go now as he runs right up beside Timu under brakes. Try to get it done around the outside. Very, very close. Got to be careful on some servers. We're aware of the netcode contact that happens from time to time. And if you run within 0.1 of a tenth of a second, it can end in tears. But Hawkon, I think he's just going to set himself up for a run down that back straight, get as close as he can. Use the draft. It's not too difficult to drive around the outside if you've pulled up beside the car on the inside of that hairpin to get a better run like we saw earlier in the piece. I think it was Mitch McLeod and Enzo Cantor perhaps. The car on the outside of the hairpin had the better drive and can pull clear relatively easily, as Hawkon looking pretty good in the draft. But Tim is going to move across to the left and protect Hawkon. He's got a long way to make up under brakes. Sends the nose up there, pulls up side by side. Timu, just like I said, really nice run out of there. Hawkon perhaps not quite far enough up there. I think he's clear now. Is Hawkon maybe going to pick up a little bit of side draft and continue to pressure Timu, who's going to be on the outside as he tries to squeeze Hawkon outside for turn 1, known as Cunningham, I believe. Those two running very close, no contact. And Timu this time around, lap 20, the final lap, is continues to lead this pack in P4.
Staunch defence there as they head through Tower for the final time this time round. These two putting on a great Sunday Night Lights show here for us tonight as they head down to Rabbit now. Both grabbing a substantial piece of the curbing now as Grebstad, he is putting all sorts of pressure on Vascalampi. Oh, the rear of the car stepping out. I think that puts an end to it, but will he come under pressure from Skurlock now? Skurlock looking to make what he can of the run there. It doesn't look to be close enough. That looks like the race run and won there as we jump back up to the front. We are on board now with, or following, the, well, we're on the board, the chopper for Top Split TV as we see now Gourlay take out round 2 of the Sunday Night Lights. Toy Carla finishing up in behind, and that's a terrible camera view. There we go. Schultz taking P3. Vascalampi, of course, finishing ahead of Grebstad and Skurlock after that exciting run through the left-hander on the approach to the big back straight. Alex J. John finishing as well. Looks like Witten has finished just ahead of McLeod. Cat coming his way around as well, as everyone now starting to finish their laps. Snell crossing the line. The stragglers now making their way across this very challenging track, both for driver and broadcaster, it has to be said. Shiraiwa, he's just tailing out his lap too. Collins just crossing the line now. You know, this track's so challenging, Jim. It hasn't even got a clearly defined finish line. So it is a fantastically fun layout to drive, but certainly has its own challenges, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny having watched a bit of racing there recently with the Sebring 12 hour, and it's not the most polished track in terms of how well finished it is. It certainly looks better in iRacing than in the real thing, but it's an amazing layout to race on. But interestingly, as I watched all the cars come across the line, I've never seen a track where so many cars have picked up front and rear end damage. A lot of busted wings, front and back, a lot of unhappy drivers, no doubt. And Sasha, though, outstanding, in control. I have to eat my own words. He flogged Sammy tonight, and that doesn't happen too often. But full credit to him. A fantastic race, and of course, congratulations to the podium, Sebastian Skoltz, P3, and a great effort by him also.
Yeah, look, hats off to Gourlay, who had a great start to the season last week, and tonight able to build on that and take it out. So let's grab a look at our final results here from round 2 at Sebring International, the club layout. Here for round 2 of Sunday Night Lights, Sasha Gourlay from France up one position at the expense of Sami Toikala in P2. But Sasha, congratulations on a fantastic drive there tonight. Really showed him how it was done with Toikala there from Finland, car number 20 in P2, snuck in to the top split and put on a great show. P3 went to Sebastian Schultz, building on his performance from last week, but a full 9 seconds behind our leader here tonight. Vaskalampi, team of Vaskalampi from Finland, led out and finished ahead of what it was a great battle, probably the battle of the race there to finish in P4. Håkan Grebstad from Team Ovaltine in P5, another member of that fantastic battle, with Michael Skurlock, the leading ANZ driver, here tonight in P6. P7, Alex J. John representing Top Split Racing Team. P8, first of the Team Milo drivers in Luke Witten. Mitchell McLeod for Talk Inc. Racing. He came home tonight in P9. P10 was Anthony Catt from UK&I, who I think, if I'm not mistaken, no, I am mistaken. I thought he might have been through the pits, but he certainly had some adventurous racing at the start of the race. P11, the first of our Iberian regulars in Cristobal Otero Roman from across Simart Competition. Ben Snell, second of the Team Milo entrants, and rounding out our top 12 and top Sunday Night Lights points scoring position, Jacek Majecki. 35 seconds back, up 2 positions, but in P13. P14, Lee Anderson from UK&I, and like many, had some adventures here tonight. Russell Clark from Team Milo, the second the final of the Team Milo drivers, I should say, in P15. P16, Samuel Collins, of course, caught up with the Golden Stig in his moment, an unfortunate ending for Samuel. P17, Yasuta Shiraiwa from the Asian Club, notably probably from Japan, judging by his name. Look, he got caught up as well. Unfortunate incidents aplenty, and all the way down to P17. Speaking of unfortunate incidents, Mr. Enzo Cantor had a few tonight for Thrustmaster Mivano Racing, down 5 laps in the first of our retirees, followed by P19, the Golden Stig himself, Mr. Tim Awima for Top Split Racing Team, also down 9 laps after retiring, and Aitor Lejaraga from Iberia, rounding out our top 20s. Now, interesting to note, the fastest lap tonight was a 1 minute 12.1, which is remarkable around here. I have seen a few 111s, but not many this week. Anthony Catt taking that out. And once again, we have jagged the top strength of field for the week so far at 38.21. So plenty of competition points and I rating for those who have shown up to put on another great race for us here tonight, Tim.
Yeah, it was plenty of action, and we knew there was going to be. The new Scoopy tire model certainly helps out, and the nature of this track being bumpy with tall curbs makes it particularly exciting, and at the start of course, and who can forget Milo, every entrant spinning 4 or 5 times. Speaking of spinning, I don't know who you want to bring up first, Alex. There's a couple of guys waiting for a chat. One of them is the Team Milo spinning driver, Ben Snell. The other one, Hook on Grebstad. Who are you going to choose first?
Well, I'm just trying to tee up the footage at the moment, and then I will probably grab. We tend to go in finishing order, so it'll probably be Mr. Grebstad. So we might bring up Hawk on first of all. Mr. Grebstad, P5 here tonight. It's no P1, but not a bad way to follow up your win in the opening round, mate. Tell us, you look like you had a great battle there with Team of Asclepius in particular, but Skurlock certainly not out of it at any stage.
Yeah. What can I say? It's certainly not a win, but it's a good finish in this field for me.
Yeah, mate, it's good race all round. I would have thought it's the highest strength of the field by a country mile by some 600 points or more this week. Yeah. So there's plenty to play for out there, right?
Sweet. Yeah, lap one, I think me and Timo just went a bit too hard for that fourth place or whatever it was, and that let top three get away, and we weren't able to bridge the gap after that. But it was a good fight with Timo and Michael for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Well, congratulations on another top 5 result. Certainly positions you well for the remainder of the season, and certainly, hopefully, we'll see you a bit more often now they're on a Sunday night. But before we let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Well, I got to thank you guys for putting this up, as always.
Beautiful. And, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Probably Dennis for showing up tonight as well, even though he made it in the second split.
Yeah, well, it's a tough gig to get in the top split these days, so hopefully there'll be an opportunity for the two Team Ovaltine drivers to pair up in the coming weeks, mate. But thank you once again for joining us, and look forward to seeing you on track with some good results in the remainder of the season.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Tim.
Pleasure, mate.
There you go, Mr. Gorkrotch Grebstad from over the way there in Norway. He's managed another fantastic result here in week 2.
Mr. Consistent, isn't he? He's always up there around the mark, ready to capitalise when things don't quite go right for everyone else. And full of good results. He does very, very well, Con. So good on him. And P5, as you said, I'm sure he'll be pretty happy with.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've got some sorry souls left to interview, no doubt. But let's bring up Mr. Ben Snell. Ben, we're riding on board, not for one of the adventures that you had, but certainly you had a few out there, mate. Tell us, not the race you were looking for, no doubt.
No, this is the first race this week where I managed to stuff up my qualifying. So starting at the front and crashing, I started at the back and crashed.
Well, nothing like a bit of variety in there, mate. But looked like you had a bit of a fight on your hands getting back after the early race shenanigans. But P12, certainly Sunday Night Lights point scoring positions, albeit the final one. But hopefully, I don't know, has it been the new setup of the skip that's brought you unstuck a little bit this season so far? Is a bit of adjustment process still going underway?
Yeah, I don't know how to not drive like a person that is driving at 173%. So unfortunately, I just can't tone it down enough by the looks of things.
Well, that's certainly the Ben Snell we've come to know and love. So hopefully the results will start coming your way as you come to grips with the new way the Skippy handles, mate. And we look forward to seeing you in the coming weeks. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Of course, shout out to you guys for broadcasting. It's a shame that Tim didn't get out and have a run, but good to see him up in the commentary box again. And of course, welcome to Luke Whitten, our newest Team Milo member.
Go Team Milo. Well, not the Milo run that we would have hoped for tonight, but hopefully bigger and better things ahead for Team Milo as well, mate. So thanks again for coming up and joining us, and we look forward to catching you next week.
Cheers, guys.
There you go, Tim. I was looking forward to the opportunity to say there was a Milo sandwich going on, but it never quite eventuated.
I was going to ask how he has it and whether the milk was off today. But anyway, that's going to ask him next week because it didn't go well for those guys tonight. And obviously, I think for Ben, as we've seen, and particularly Luke as well. And I remember in previous seasons, Luke likes to hustle the car, likes a bit of sideways activity and that sort of stuff. And Ben too. And it just doesn't work now.
No.
The car is so, you have to be precise and drive it straight. And certainly in the first handful of laps, treat it really, really well, or it's going to bite you. As we saw for probably, I'm going to say half the cars had incidents through that race.
Yeah, look, there was a bit of it around, but yeah, and I wonder if that challenges the likes of Ben Snell, who does his real life driving, of course, but he does most of it sideways, preferably in the drift cars. So the physics of the car at the moment, with the new tyre model that's in play or in development and released for a bit of live testing on the skips, really doesn't play into the hands of someone like Ben Snell, who knows how to handle a car sideways when the physics of the car themselves are counterintuitive to what they're like in real life, which has not always been the case, of course. So we talked a bit about that on the podcast that came out today, but we'll talk a bit more about that later. Let's bring out our final guest for this evening, Mr. Enzo Cantor, who was out there for Thrustmaster Mivano Racing, of course, but certainly not the result you were looking for, Enzo.
Hi guys. Well, obviously not. I was completely out of practice, but that is not an excuse. I missed the second qualifying lap, but I was not so fast in the qualifying because I didn't find yet the secret to warm the tires rapidly in order to do fast qualifying. So perhaps I could finish in the first 7, 8 cars, but not sure in the first 2 or 4. Well, I was trying to be patient and to do to take no risks in order to pass the car safely and stay alive till the end. But when I was finding my rhythm and my pace, in the turn 3, I tapped from behind the car in front of me that I don't remember who was he, but he took the corner very slow, and I was a little bit faster, and I could do nothing to avoid the contact. And then someone hit me from behind, destroying my car. Then I exited from the pits in position. I was trying to again to find my pace. And you saw what happened. I was in last. I was approaching the hairpin. I had the car in front of me, very far from me. But and I brake in order to do my line in my corner. But he brakes very early, and I finished inside of him. But I didn't want to do that at all. I didn't expect he brakes so early. So again, suspension destroyed and race finished. So, but the matter is not this one. The matter is this is the Skip Barber. Then will be the car until the end of the season with this tire model or not. So it is useful to learn how to drive this horrible car till the end of the season, or no. That's the problem. Because if you can manage this car as a master, but you have to learn again when they will change and fix it. So I don't know if I will continue to drive this car or I will jump to another series.
Yeah, common story around the traps at the moment, Enzo, as the yacht racing devs work out how they're going to progress. So, yeah, I don't think you're on your own there. Some of the big names certainly sharing your sentiments there. But thank you once again for joining us here tonight, Enzo. We really do appreciate you coming out. And sorry the result didn't go quite your way tonight, but we look forward to seeing you in the coming weeks. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, surely to my team, to Taskmaster Mivano Racing, my team manager Fabio Mantellini, that today would not be so happy for this result, but fortunately he forgives me every time. So I again have to say thanks to him and to you for the broadcast. I hope I wish to see you the next week, but I don't know. I will take a decision in the next future.
Yeah, no worries, Enzo. Thanks, mate. Well, hopefully we see you back, but, to bigger and better things along the way. So thanks again for joining us, mate, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you soon, guys.
There you go, Tim. That's unfortunately the sentiments are not uncommon amongst some of the top Skippy drivers, and as I said, we talked a fair bit about it on the podcast that came out today, the Top Split podcast. Check out thetopsplit.com for that one, or search for the Top Split on iTunes or your favourite podcatcher. There's a bit of sentiment around the traps around the new car, the new tyre model, I should say. The car sounds great because they've adjusted that and a little bit of tweaking of the gearbox, I think, as well. But the tyre model is what's causing all the discussions at the moment.
You're on the money, it is. And it'd be disappointing to not have Enzo, racing next week. Imola, of course. I don't think it's his home track, but it is the track in Italy, obviously. Enzo, the fiery Italian as well. So it'd be really great to see him out there, of course. But you're right. The chat is about tyres and a handful of the characteristics that the new tyre model number 7, has. And truth be told, I mean, I feel the same way as him, but ultimately, for me, it didn't take to say I'm an amazing driver or anything, but it didn't take a long period of time to get used to the new characteristics. The racing's been good. That's what I'm looking for. Whether it's an absolute representation of the vehicle or not, I couldn't really give a rat's about. I want to go out there and have fun and race close. And if it takes a few laps for that to occur in terms of tyres getting up to feel normal or to feel reasonable, then so be it. And this week at Sebring, I had some fantastic racing. So I'll be here next week. I'll be here throughout the season, whether they change the tyre model or not. And I encourage the guys. I think, for the most part, the ones who have higher ratings, higher skill levels, and perhaps a little bit of real life experience, I won't say they need to pull their head in, but remember why they're doing this, and that it is to have fun. Obviously, for one or two, perhaps it is to train themselves for real life. But I think for the others, it's just to get out there and enjoy themselves. And ultimately, that's what it's for me, and I'm sure that's what it's for you. Whether the tyre model is perfect or not doesn't really bother me, Alex.
Yeah, look, similar sentiments. Oh, look, it's a wide variety of opinions. We could talk about it for hours, to be honest. And there are some who have said, they don't want to unlearn or relearn stuff that they might take to a track or learn it the wrong way. And certainly, I think Ben Snell, was a good example for me tonight, who I can't imagine having to grapple with the car the way he likes to drive it when the physics are somewhat counterintuitive, but he still gets out there on track and has a good time for the most part, I hope, anyway. So, and that's been my approach too. Get out there, have a bit of fun, which is what it's all about. Shout out to the guys in the lower splits too. Thank you to Team Ovaltine's own Dennis Fiedler sending me through the results. Greg Barber having a great one there. I've had a couple of races with Greg lately. He's an ANZ driver and he's got some good pace. He started first, finished first there. Stefan Remedy from Canada in P2, and Grant Patullo from ANZ in P3. Just a shout out to Sean Thiel is, I believe he's known to you, Tim. Sean's been joining us, and he's in P4.
Sean Thiel, he did well. He was racing hard all week to get into the top split, but looks like he fell around 400 or 500 I ratings short. But I know he'll be there. He's almost a gang, unless we get a 4 or 5K stuff. He's would be the only circumstances where he'll miss out. But he's a console guy that popped around to my place and spent a bit of time on the rig and really enjoyed our racing and what it offers. Obviously, not quite there in graphics, but generally there in all other aspects. So Sean, despite the low I ratings, is quite a good driver, and no doubt we'll see him in the top split in weeks to come.
I've no doubt. Yeah, spent a bit of time with him on track this week, and he had every bit and everything he needed to make it with some of the big guns. So yeah, I agree. I was expecting him. He was on pace with me during the week, at least. I'm expecting the coming weeks to be looking for me in his rearview mirrors. So. Yeah, good luck to him. I hope we see him in the top split soon. And some of our regulars also in that split as well. We're hoping for them to have a run and get up here. But again, top split of the week at 38.21. It's great to see Sunday Night Lights starting so strongly and going from strength to strength. Now, we're, let me go, hang on, let me just hide that one. If you'd like to join in with us here at the Top Split, of course, we have the Sunday Night Lights here on YouTube. The Discord community there, link is there where we have the discussions, and it's where we do the broadcast from, and also where you can have an interview if you're interested in doing so after the race. The Top Split podcast, which is at thetopsplit.com. New episode out today, following on from our episode with Marcus Ambrose last time round. AJ and I are back in there discussing all things news and views with iRacing. Join us also on the Facebook page at the Top Split on Facebook. But then again, we have the streamers AJ_77, the Doctor, Alex J. John, who was in this race and part of the Top Split racing team family. He was streaming here tonight. Go check out his channel. Of course, you can find me on Top Split TV a few nights each and every week with my own racing. And the Golden Stig, I don't think he was streaming here tonight, although I could be mistaken. No, he didn't. Message didn't pop up, but he's another one of the Top Split Racing family to go and have a follow as well. But for now, folks, that'll about do us for round 2. Thank you to each and every one of you for joining us for the broadcast, or either on track or in the chat. We look forward to seeing you in the coming weeks. But for now, on behalf of my co-commentator here tonight, the great Tim Gorcrotcher, I've been your host, Alex McKellar. And until next time, I will say ciao for now.